guys.
Okay.
Got a lot of papers there.
Yeah. All right. DeJohn Harris did not practice. Christian Tupou was very limited. Demetrius Wright didn't do very much. Matt Khalil did not practice. Andre Walker did not practice. Robert Woods did not practice. So obviously that's a lot of guys still out, unfortunately. We need guys to step up as they did today in practice, and who's ever out there has got to play a great game. So we'll load them all up and go up north.
How concerned are you about the defensive tackle situation, especially since that's such an important position against their offense?
Yeah, it is. And George played really well last week, in his first start as a freshman. And so did JR as a true freshman. But, obviously we'd like to have DeJohn back because of the rotation especially. Because obviously we want to get a bunch of guys in there and rotate them through. So hopefully he'll be back and at least be able to play some for us.
What was the thought process behind Woods not doing anything today?
He just, if you just look at the last two games and you look at yesterday at practice, he just, he's going the wrong direction. And so, if we just keep practicing, even though we've limited his practice, he's not getting better. And so, hopefully this will help. And if he can't go this week, at least the time off and the weekend off, hopefully he'll be back to close to full speed for UCLA.
Is that a possibility that he won't play
Sure
Saturday?
Yeah, if you watch him, watch him yesterday. We've got service in the corners that he can't run by right now, and so he's just worn down. And the kid's trying to do everything that he can, but when you have an ankle and a shoulder, you can't generate much power, and a lot of kids wouldn't even be playing right now. And he just keeps throwing himself back in there.
What exactly is the extent of the shoulder injury? You said last night on the TV show that it keeps coming in and out.
Yeah, it goes to no power. And if you watch the game close, it happens twice in the game. Two different hits on times Marquise has the ball, his arm just goes dead. And, like I said, most people would come out. He tries to go right back to the huddle and go in. That's just who he is. But at the same time, we got to protect our team. And if he can't play faster, we've got to play the other guys.
How does that affect how you formulate your game plan, call plays? He's such an integral part of the offense all season.
Yeah, there's no secret how it affects us. The guy was caught over 90 balls, and you're losing him. But we need guys to step up, and so it's why these guys, practice hard all year long, and they'll get their chance. Last week Bryce Butler made a big play for us early, and the other guys need to step up.
With all the emphasis that you guys put on playing through injuries, you'd really hold him out. You'd really not play him in this game if he says he's ready to go. You'd say you're not playing.
Yeah, we'd have to see what that means. He's going to say he's ready no matter what. He's always going to say that. But go back and look at Saturday's film. He shouldn't be playing in that game. And when you like to trust in them because they say they're fine and you say that they can go in, but that's just him being tough. We got to make sure that we're doing the best thing for the long run with him.
With Oregon's backfield, do you focus on stopping them as a whole, or do you focus on maybe one of them and build out from there?
No, it's about their scheme. If you start worrying about the players and who's where and everything, you'll have no chance of lining up because they play so fast. You've got to get lined up based off of their scheme and where they're at, and then play your assignments regardless of who has the ball.
Why were LSU and Auburn so effective against the run game? Is it just their D lines were that good?
Yeah, you're talking about last year, on that front seven Auburn. Now this year at LSU, I would think some people may, and I think I've heard it before. LSU may be the best defense ever. So that's a big deal. You go into Tuscaloosa and give up 3 or 6 points, whatever the score was. You're talking about a superior, not just a good defense this year. A great defense of all time. So nothing against our defense, but you can't really compare anybody to that type of defense.
How much more prepared do you feel like your young players are for a road game like this compared to, say, the Arizona State game, the first one?
A lot more. Going through Arizona State and Notre Dame, has really helped them. And then going to Colorado, with the weather, up there and different atmosphere, I think that they're a lot more comfortable. But still, it's still going to be about lining up and making plays, versus the best team in the country.
Have you thought about Farmer at all, the wide receiver with Blitz?
We just didn't. It's too hard to move him back. He's just learning the stuff back there and coming back from injury and going back to the timing out there is just too hard to do.
If Chip Kelly was saying the same stuff about Michael James or one of his top players, would you believe what you were hearing? He said he's not going to play.
I don't know. Chip, well, I don't have to worry about that because Chip doesn't talk about injuries. he's not nice to the media like I am to you guys. We give you everything. Stay here the whole day. Now the news this morning has our practice on film, so we got everything. So he doesn't have to worry about that.
Obviously, they haven't done it as long as USC did, last decade. But do you kind of view Oregon as being on the same plane as USC was then?
Well, I think they're at the start of it. You got to do it for 7 years, before you compare it to the whole thing. That's a long run. That's a lot of different players. That's what is unique about what Coach did here. You can have a great team, make a great run, and you have a Heisman Trophy winner. You have somebody that carries you, much like Auburn last year type of deal. But can you do it for 5, 6, 7 years? That's special because now it's all new players, and so now your systems really have to prove through that they can do it and that your recruiting can do it year in and year out. So they're on the right track though.
Yeah, one of the characteristics of that run was USC always seemed to show up for the big games with a big effort, and the big games were never too much for them. Is this one of those measuring points for a young team where you just say, we'll see if we show up for this big game?
No, I don't know. This is the next game on the schedule, and we've mentioned before, those times were different. This team's a lot younger than any of those teams ever were, and we're playing a lot of significant players that are freshmen.
In retrospect, do you think you should have sat Robert out last week and kept him maybe ready for this game? You could have done it over again.
If you would have told me that they were going to go 2 for 12 on third downs and we were going to win by 40 points, yeah, I wish so. But I didn't know that. Washington, was very competitive this year and played, beat us the last 2 years. So there was no way to know that. If I would have known that, then that would have been great.
In each of their last 2 bowl games, Ohio State and Auburn had a lot of success with wheel routes and stuff coming out of the backfield. Is that something you've got to look for against their zone blitzing scheme?
Not really, because that's Auburn's system. Gus does that. That's a huge probably run 10, 12 of those a game. So you can't really try to get out of our system and do something that we don't do.
Anything else?